Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video we're going to look at a flashlight from one of my absolute favorite flashlight companies, Nitecore. Here in my hands this is the P23i. At the time of this video, one of their newer models. Now I have had a couple of their flashlights in this particular form factor and I love them. Absolutely comfortable to carry. I leverage the belt clip, which is awesome. The tail cap and tail switch is fantastic. Has quick access to turbo, number of different modes, and always Nitecore batteries are just awesome. So the overall features and generally the programming, the overall quality, absolutely there with Nitecore products. And so when we get back, we're going to break it out of the package, go through all the details, and then we're going to get into some beam shots. And so with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Nitecore who did provide this for review. And so now as we take a look at the P23i. Now as I mentioned already, there are a number of flashlights that I've looked at from Nitecore in a very similar form factor. So here the P20iX, which for me has been one of my absolute all-time favorites. Love this flashlight. Definitely makes it to my rotation. And as I mentioned, I really do very much enjoy their carry system. This is like a really cool like belt sheath without the sheath. It's an open sort of style. Very effective and for a few reasons. First off, flashlight fits in there wonderfully, clicks into place, very simple, but it's still usable. So I find sometimes even if this is on my hip, I'll just kind of blip the button, take a quick look, see something on the ground, turn it off, move on. Very, very nice. And of course, USB Type-C rechargeable. On my primary Outer Limitless channel, I covered the TM9K. Now, there are two versions of this. This is the original, but again, boom, just a blast of light. Really easy, not just to get on your main switch, but the turbo. Bam! I mean, when you really want to blind somebody, I mean, you get that nice capability of just walking around, seeing what you got to do. Hey, what's that over there? Boom! Just lighting the place up. And that's what I am saying about these Nitecore flashlights. The overall capability, the functionality, but the buttons, really, really cool. So with that, let's bust open this P23i. And so one of the things that you heard me say about Nitecore, I love their batteries. They do a fantastic job, and I use a number of Nitecore batteries, not just in flashlights, but for my cameras. That's actually what's powering my cameras here today. I have definitely used their sort of video lights. They do a great job. Their chargers, everything about Nitecore, I just love, and I really do appreciate them. And so as we get into this, the P23i, well, right away, I'm already starting to notice a couple of things. A little bit of a different form factor here from the P20iX. A little bit of a different shape. It's probably a different battery, and we're going to take a look at that. Which, as we take a look at the P20iX, this is their NL2150 HPI. So this is a 21700, 5000 milliamp hour battery. So I think actually I take back my original statement, which is this should be a 21700. Let's take a quick look. So getting this little film out of the way here, and yes, so it is actually the exact same battery. So take a look at this. I think this is pretty cool what Nitecore has managed to do. As I get this battery back and into place, nice threads, always nicely done from Nitecore. And as we take a look, that's lighting up. That's a good sign. Quick little blip there. Yep, no problem. We're good to go. And here with the P20iX, getting this good to go. I could be tripping, but I feel like it's actually a little bit thinner on the P23i by a little bit in diameter. Now it is a little bit longer, just a bit, but I think we're going to see the performance is definitely there. And at the same time, you'll notice it does have sort of that little protective tail stand on the back side. So here with the P20iX, no ability to tail stand this, where here on the P23i you can. Beautiful construction all the way around. This is gorgeous. I really like how it has a flat bezel on the front, so you'll notice that sort of flat black versus the sort of shiny that you get on the rest of the body on the front here. Definitely a little bit aggressive. You end up with a bit of a strike bezel, which is cool. That's like a glass breaker style with those, I believe, ceramic balls on the front. And you did also get that with the P20iX. Now this is a single LED design, again comparing against the P23iX, which is a quad LED, a little bit bigger in diameter here on the P20iX, a little bit thinner in diameter here on the P23. But at the same time, you get the nice advantage here again with the dual button tail cap. So again, we're going to go through the modes just sort of here, turning the light on. That's going to be your main mode, but at the same time, turbo, oh, that's strobe right now. So there is programming that can generally be done to these, and I'm curious if we can program this to go to turbo versus that tactical strobe. Now you'll notice that this does come with a nylon sheath. I believe, and we'll check this out, but I believe we will have the ability to leverage this holster as well. But generally speaking, these work fairly well. You can go either bezel up or bezel down. Now I can tell you right away, this is just a little bit tight for bezel down. If I go bezel up, no problem. That slides in there with ease. So you could probably break this in a little bit if you're going to go bezel down, but I think this is probably more intended. Nah, it'll go, no problem. And as we close that up, yeah, that's just fine. So just needs to be sort of stretched out a little bit, and that will be no problem. You end up with a Velcro belt loop here, so you can see your Velcro belt loop, and a D-ring attachment if that's your jam. But again, pretty simple. Now, there is the ability to add a clip, and I don't think I'm going to do that. As we take a look here, again, you know, lanyard, I'm probably never going to use a lanyard on a flashlight. Some people might. Spare O-ring, which I have a massive spare O-ring collection, and I'm sure I'll never figure out which one I need for a given flashlight when the day comes that I actually use one. But the clip. These clips are very nice, but at the same time, I am probably not going to actually leverage a clip on this because, well, let's see. If this does fit in this holster, no problem. And that is going to be how I rock this. So the P23i is definitely going to leverage this, and I don't know what you call it. It's like a cradle. This to me, and actually as we take a look here, NTH20. So that's the model number of this little holster here, NTH20, if you're interested. And I think they sell them as an aftermarket part. I'll check that out, and I will annotate below. But to me, this is the way to carry this on your belt. I definitely like that overall capability. Definitely nice, and is definitely functional. Gets it out of your pocket, which is kind of refreshing, and up on your hip. So if you're law enforcement, tactical, this to me is definitely a great way to go. You'll notice you can space this out for different size belts, which is definitely cool. Now, before we get this outside, we're going to do some beam shots inside. And the main thing to consider, this does have two different programmable modes. So this comes default in what's called daily mode. So as I turn the main button on here, well, you see the light comes on. This is coming on in the ultra low mode. This is 50 lumens and will run for approximately 45 hours. Now the main mode button, as I press that, it's going to go up to the low mode. This is 250 lumens. This will run for around 10 hours. Another press, this is the mid mode, 800 lumens. This will run for about 4 hours. Another press, this is high. That's 1500 lumens. This will run for around 2 hours and 30 minutes. And then as you press again, goes back down around to that ultra low mode. Now, even if you're in the low mode, a long press of the mode button, well, boom, that's your turbo. Turbo 3000 lumens. This will run for approximately 30 minutes. And I love the fact that you can just be navigating around in your ultra low mode, no problem. And then, hey, what's that? Boom. I love that. Very effective. And in this particular case, you'll notice if I triple press, Well, that's going to lock the strobe on. And that's if you're running it with the actual main button there. But now that I turn it off, well, what happens with your secondary mode button? Well, when I lean on that, again, that's the strobe. So instant access to strobe if that's what you want. Now to change modes to the tactical mode. The tactical mode, what you're going to do is you're going to hold down the strobe button and then you're going to loosen the tail cap. So I'm just going to cover the head here and loosen the cap, and that flashes. And at this point, as I turn this back on, well, now you're going to notice it starts in the high mode and cycles down. So now that this is on, high, medium, low, ultra low. So it's kind of the reverse. And I take it back. It's actually, when you really look at it, turbo, mid, low, and ultra low. So it actually gets rid of the high altogether and goes straight to turbo. Just out of the curiosity, if we dim this down just a couple of notches, now that I'm on the low mode, leaning on the button, okay, so that's going to go to your strobe, turning the light off and leaning on the button, again, strobe. So much more strobe functionality here if you need it. So to me, I would probably run this in daily mode, and that is definitely how I tended to run the P23i. I did run this in daily mode, and I do prefer it. And so now that you've seen the P23i in the studio, let's get it outside for those beam shots.
And so now, as we get the Nitecore P23i out into the field, keeping in mind there are a couple of different modes. So this being in the tactical mode, this will go from turbo to medium to low, ultra low, and then strobe. And here you can see as I get things started, just beaming off, getting things sort of established. I was in the turbo mode, now getting into that ultra low mode, 50 lumens, 1,130 candela with a runtime of around 45 minutes. Now the camera here you can see set up on the shoreline, looking across, looking at me, and this is being able to really, I would say, generally perform for my navigation tasks, but it's really the turbo mode that's the showstopper here. So 3,000 lumens, 55,300 candela with a runtime of around 30 minutes. This has absolute punch. You can see here up into the trees with ease, roughly 470 meters of throw. That 55,300 candela, absolutely impressive. But the mid mode here, 800 lumens, 14,900 candela, and a runtime of 4 hours. This is nothing to shake a stick at. This is actually a real nice mode for a mid-level lumen output. Moving now into the low mode, 250 lumens, 4,700 candela with 10 hours of runtime. This is always a key spot for me where if I had to absolutely get myself out in an emergency situation, this low mode would be awesome. 10 hours of runtime, more than enough, and 250 lumens, more than enough to see. But the ultra low mode here, 50 lumens, 1,130 candela, 45 hours of runtime, again, good for general navigation. Now that strobe is extremely disorienting. It is a multi-pattern strobe at 3,000 lumens. This does not report on the candela or runtime, but this strobe, very, very effective. I would hate to be on the receiving end of that. Now, taking a second look at this from the user's perspective, here you can see that turbo mode. Again, the 3,000 lumens, just awesome. Look at the cone of light you get off of this P23i. Absolutely impressive. Beaming up into the trees with ease, and of course my eyes can see this way easier than the camera, and illuminating a perfect mirror image off of the water, a good amount of spill off to the sides, but that hot spot, pretty much like a cone of light. The 3,000 lumens on this P23i, absolutely impressive. Continuing on with my thought process, the 800 lumens here, still a great serviceable amount of light and really improving your runtime to 4 full hours. This is a great general purpose mode, pretty solid for general tactical sort of needs, law enforcement, even some sort of inspections, different sort of duties. Just a great amount of light at 800 lumens. the 250 lumen output. Now go back to what I was saying about my ability to get out of a situation. I am beaming off into the distance, and I know the camera's not picking it up a ton, but at over 100 meters away, I am still illuminating the far shoreline with ease. My eyes can pick it up nicely, and that's a good amount of light for a low mode. Absolutely fantastic with that 10 hours of runtime. And the ultra low mode really does struggle to kick pretty far. I would say you're getting maybe 60, 70 meters at best, but that's barely showing up at distance. The camera's not really picking it up. You're not seeing too much of it. My eyes maybe a little bit, and it's barely reaching the far shoreline, again, around 100 meters away. So I am getting probably 60 to 70 meters of throw overall. Good for general navigation, but that's about it on the ultra low mode. And again, that strobe, man, I would hate to be the beaver hanging out there, out in that swamp, out on that river, just getting this 3,000 lumen strobe absolutely blasting at you, completely disorienting. A very nice job from Nitecore on the P23i.
And so, all right, guys, there you have it. A look at the Nitecore P23i. Absolutely fantastic. An awesome, awesome flashlight. Nitecore, absolutely one of my favorite brands, and this P23i is awesome. Now, I do have to say, I'm a little bit, and I'm not going to say jaded, I'm just lucky in the fact that I've had the opportunity to test a whole bunch of Nitecore flashlights, and all of them with these tactical functions, the multi-mode tail cap, absolutely sweet, and the P23i, no exception. Now also, after having tested the P20iX, the iX and the I, they're very similar. The iX having a little more punch, but this having a little more throw, a little more candela. The ability to get on this and just beam with these tactical modes, quick to the tactical strobe, and overall just great punch at distance. Really, really awesome. So who is this flashlight for? Well, bottom line is this. You could be a flashlight enthusiast. Nitecore is always going to be a great product for a flashlight enthusiast and somebody looking for an excellent EDC. But more than that, this is really intended, I would say, for law enforcement, general military use, light military use, and really somebody who's looking for something in that self-defense vein. Somebody who's a first responder, this would be absolutely awesome, and if you need to defend yourself with that strobe, it will absolutely do it. But the different modes for everyday carry, it could leave it just a little bit lacking. I know for me, I carry a ton of different flashlights. I'm not usually looking for that heavy-duty tactical flashlight. More for me, just the ability to see my surroundings and then get some punch when I need it. So for me, it's a little bit better typically when I have my general modes and then I can select myself through the different intensities and a blip on that turbo. For this flashlight, generally speaking, for the most part, the blip is tending to get you more into that strobe mode, which, take it or leave it, it is what it is. This, at the heart of it, is a tactical law enforcement flashlight, and that's where I think it's best served. And so again, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Nitecore who did provide this for review. And for the rest of you, if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless channel, which is more of my primary gear. On that channel, I cover everything from hiking, camping, and backpacking excursions, all the gear that goes with it. So from sleep systems, shelter systems, knives, axes, flashlights, backpacks, you name it, that's my Outer Limitless YouTube channel. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.